Hey people, it's Philipp Druzhinin, and I welcome you to my channel. Thanks a lot for following. Subscribe, share, and like this video. See you later.
But first, tell me, how would you feel if you would find out that right next to your door there's some certain house that you never knew about and it's buried underground? How would you feel if you find out that somebody was using it and even obtaining this place long before it was excavated? That it had a floor, some type of insulation in certain rooms, so it probably was excavated by somebody, because the rest of these building that showed up during the excavation doesn't have these floors, as you can see. Only has some buried trenches of walls that falling back low, way below than what we see. So the foundation imitation or insulation imitation is only inside of some certain rooms, not the whole building that was excavated. And as long as you dig deeper, you find out that there's no foundation on the outside. How would you feel to find out that someone was using this facility way before it was excavated? How would you find out that everything you know about your neighborhood is just nothing in comparison to what was found inside of your home's yard, right in front of your door? Hey guys, it's Philipp Druzhinin, and I want to talk about the ideas that mudflood research brought to the humanity. The first idea that I'm going to talk about is the idea that archaeologists are aware of all this event, or at least were aware, but due to different things they probably lost connection to some certain reality and probably were brainwashed in 19th century just not to figure out what was really going on, because most of the excavations that were proceeded even now show us the remains of those buildings. For example, I've been picturing this place a lot of times. They were excavating it, we found bricks there, walls there, but no one didn't care. But when they saw all the videos that we posted on Russian internet, they managed to make this picture show boards, I don't know, to show how that building looked before, and we can see that it's totally incredible architecture. So why was it demolished? Are those archaeologists aware of what really was going on? How can they not see all this clay, all this depth, all the foundations that you cannot even find sometimes? Are they aware of the geological composure of clay, that it can come from underground? So what is the archaeological explanation? They explain it as a cultural layer, but as you've seen on those pictures, there's no crap there on the streets, right? So there's no way it can grow at 1 meter per 100 years if we don't see it changing since 19th century. Okay? There's no way the house could end up being built with the windows underground, then it was buried by some certain purpose to make it a basement. Why would you do that? Why would you have 3, 4, 5 basement sublevels? Why don't you have insulation on the walls? All these questions end up being unanswered by the science, and we are trying to figure it out. And this is the first idea. Archaeologists don't care. So why the archaeologists don't care? Actually, the question is very hard to answer. Maybe it's because they are financed by those who in power and they control totally each and every step they do. And in fact, in my life I found some events that were actually showing this. They afraid? Oh yes, they are. Nobody will risk to lose his career, to go in the opposite direction of the main science. Nobody wants to be alternative these days. It's a pre-crisis era, pre-war era, everybody knows that. It won't last long. And they will be changing the way the buildings look also. So the second idea that comes up with the mud flood is the historians also don't care, because it's an agreed upon religion that explains nothing else but some primitive information about our past. But who would say the ancestors were primitive right now? Who in a clear mind would say that? Only those historians, only those archaeologists that are gonna tell you lies about the primitive technologies of the past that were not perfect. Look, they had a cultural layer growing a meter per 100 years because they didn't know how to clean up the streets. Or they were using candle to light up all those huge buildings that we see around. Or they didn't have fire brigades before the 19th century. It was a volunteer thing. So probably they didn't have any fires, so that doesn't match with the candles theory. Or the gas evidence, using of a gas evidence each and everywhere we see in the big cities, all those gas lamps that are still left. So probably had gas pipelines to support all this technology working. And I've been talking about the gas mining before, and it's not a fresh idea, okay? This idea is like 10 years old. Right now people are talking about it. And the style of architecture, all these rounded ceilings, all these buildings with red bricks, show us the same idea, that it was the same culture. So that's the third idea that comes up of the mud flood, and it's that the culture was united, right? It had some standards of decent quality. Okay, the quality that could last for centuries, you know, that could be easily repaired and renovated and still be good. Okay, that's why they update all those buildings, you know, hiding each and every detail. That was a technological device, changing it to be a primitive cargo code imitation, trying to show us that those underground facilities were just basements, you know. And it's totally propaganda, brainwashing the people. Each and every person thinks probably these are just basements, guys. They used to build like this. Isn't that exciting to watch the life of the worms underground from your window? I mean, that is perfect, with no insulation, completely no caring about the water and all the stuff that goes in the springs and summers and all those floods that come to the cities. We've been shown a bunch of pictures of floodings in California, Moscow, St. Petersburg. Each and every place was flooded. So they knew they were flooding and still built the underground basements with the windows that could be easily flooded from outside. Isn't this stupid? Okay, and I can find about 10 of different, you know, explanations that they try to pick and choose right now in each and every different case, but I'm talking about in general. I mean, if you have some proper explanation for some certain building, like maybe in Australia and Britain or whatever, It's okay, but can you give us the certain explanation of this global picture that we see? Worldwide picture, right? We don't see it. We don't see those explanations because they ain't working. It ain't the dust falling from the skies. It ain't the volcano's ash that can work like this. This selective method is not working here. Yes, we are talking about the wars, we are talking about bombardments, we are talking about different events that could happen and could lead us to changing the weather, changing the climate. Also, we're talking about the climate changing weaponry that could be used way before we know about it. Right? But we're talking about it right now, about the modern cultures, about the modern technologies that they use in those direct energy weapons and stuff like this. Why couldn't they be using it way in the past? Why couldn't they be just carpet bombing those local tribes, local people that were left after the break of the Union, of the Empire of Rus, all those split apart countries that could be just, populated by some certain type of breed people? And then they just, enslave them and make this democracy capitalism system, right? Which is capital. Capital means making those capitals each and everywhere, and those capitals sucking all the money, all the power, all the human resources. And this is the easy way to control the science, the cultural workers that could show us the evidence of what happened before. And that's why they are totally budgeted by the governments and those uncommercial funds, which are also probably government related in most of the cases. It's either funded by government or funded by Soros. Everybody knows that. All this liberal, pro-liberal, and in some cases like extreme liberal ideas that come out is just to distract people from finding out what's really going on in this world. Because when you are caring about something that doesn't matter and you don't have any influence on this decision, but you care, but you spend all your time or your efforts on the psychological things, you end up finding out that your country does not belong to you anymore, okay? And this is what's happening right now. We are spoiled by all this system that was working for several decades after the Second World War. We got used to this comfort. But on the other side of the medal, things were rough. And this is how it's changing right now. It's changing to be a total erase all the previous system. And somebody's blaming me that I was destroying the Western paradigm of the science. So this is probably the last idea the Mudflood brought. It doesn't destroy the Western paradigm. It enforces it to be the worldwide paradigm. Okay? You have to understand that, guys. If we are the offsprings of those people, if we are some kind of related to those who lived before, then we are the world paradigm, the non-Western world paradigm. Thank you guys for being with this research. Thank you for sharing, liking. That's the only way we can promote these videos. Nobody's watching them anymore. No new people, at least since the algorithm is working. Hey people, and to continue the tradition of making postscriptums, I made it in several previous videos. I wanted to show you what really happened after the renovation of this Polytechnical Museum, this famous underground level site. Okay, so this is the picture that I was making before the summer, probably in April or something. And this is the way it was looking. that day. Okay, and I promised to come back. Well, promise is just, you know, a little chit. I work right in right like 1 mile from this building, like maybe 1 kilometer. So those are the pictures that we see from the officials. Like, that's the only pictures they got. And the building is a lot bigger, of course. You can see it's like contains of at least 3 buildings, and all of them suddenly have this underground level right now. This is how it looks after renovation. Yeah, they opened up everything for people to enter and come. Of course, they changed the facades. As you can see, it looks like more modern right now. It looked a little different before. Well, way different, way more different before, and I've shown the pictures from the inside in one of the previous videos. So this is how they changing. This is how they changing and making the obvious evidence non-significant, because opening it up is just the winner, the game winner for them. Okay, all those benches near it, so the people can sit there, drink beer, be brainwashed, smoke cigarettes, and just look at it and don't understand what's really going on there. Okay, this is the way to erase the evidence, guys. It's probably this technology, and they're gonna be using this technology, so-called technology, to hide the evidence worldwide right now. Because if this works here, why not make it on this building? Because they opened it up recently, and then we can see it also has some underground windows that right now are just the holes in the wall.